Hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future coming to you with another conversation. So, some of you've noticed that last week I decided to change up my title. So, just a little bit of different branding here. So, now it's C3 with Dr. B and really talking about looking at college and career and everything else that comes along with that. But I think part of my focus has always been on career awareness, career development, and career exploration. So, whether our students are going to a 4 year college, a 2 year college, a technical school, the military, they're all going to work. And they all need to find these different ways of finding out about what careers are out here. A lot of that for some people does start in college. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important to have these conversations with college admission reps, with students that are currently in college, with people that have already started their careers or have been in their careers for a number of years. So, again, definitely if you have a young person who is looking for an opportunity to learn more about college and career and they're looking for some help, have them reach out to me. This is my email, Dr. B at stepstothefuture.com. So you can always reach me that way. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel. So this video and other videos will also be on the YouTube channel. So for those of you who do not use Facebook, you can follow along on YouTube and you can always see the replays there. And for additional college and career information, please feel free to subscribe to my monthly newsletter. I was a little late this month because with all of the college essays and college applications that we're working on for early deadlines, things got out a little bit late. But if you if you fill out this form, you will get October's Steps newsletter. So, folks, I am so thrilled today that I have the opportunity to have with us as a guest Sarah Shepard. And I'm actually going to bring Sarah on now, doing things a little differently, folks. So I had the pleasure of meeting Sarah at the Montessori School of Raleigh earlier this month when she came to talk to our students about her university. So Sarah is with us this evening and she brings over 12 years of university admissions experience, ranging from traditional first year, international, and transfer. Currently, Sarah partners with students in the Southeast region, yay, that's us, as the Regional Recruitment Director for Xavier University's Veterans and Family Services and Office of Admissions. And for those of you who don't know, Xavier University is in Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome, Sarah. We are thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for offering this opportunity for me as I disappear into my but this is one of our buildings that we do have on campus. So I'm not too upset if all you see is this beautiful building, because then you get to see a little bit of campus.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So, Sarah, tell us a little bit about you first before we begin.
Oh, goodness. So I am an Ohio girl through and through, born and raised. I did my Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science and International Studies at Bowling Green State University. And I graduated right in the middle of the recession. So, like any
Mm.
good millennial, I went on to grad school and got my master's in higher education administration and went to work immediately in the Office of Admissions, where I was with an institution in the Cincinnati area for about 10 years, where I did both domestic recruitment and international recruitment. I was able to build an English language program, which I thought was super cool because I got to do both academic advising and working with these international students. And it took me to China, I don't know, I think 6 or 7 times in my
Okay.
10 years or 5 years that I was with international. And then I took a leap and decided to do something a little bit different. And I was with a university in North Carolina and transitioned to be a regional recruiter for Xavier, who is located in Cincinnati. Because I guess you can take the girl out of the Midwest, but you can't take the Midwest out of the girl.
That is so good. That is so good. I had the pleasure of visiting Xavier University. Oh God, I want to say it was probably 2015. And I was excited because right after that, or actually just before that, I had a student um, that had chosen to attend Xavier University. So I was so
Mhm.
thrilled to be able to actually get on the campus and see it. Unfortunately, her schedule didn't match up with mine, so I wasn't able
Mm.
to visit with her while we were on campus. But I was really impressed. I mean, I think it was the first time I was in the city of Cincinnati. So it was really, I was really impressed with the university and all they had to offer. So tell us a little bit about Cincinnati. What is it about Cincinnati that would attract students into Xavier University?
Yeah, so I'll start with the city and work my way down. Is the city of Cincinnati is a nice metropolitan area that is large enough to still be considered a city, but small enough that we have all of that small town charm and safety that students are really looking for when it comes to a home away from home. We have the Cincinnati Zoo. So if you haven't yet, follow Fiona the hippo. She is one of the beloved animals from the zoo. We have all five major arts in the city. So that's ballet, opera, the symphony, Broadway, and museums. Just this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, we had this festival called Blink, which is an art festival. So think of a mural on a side of a building. Someone will go and paint those, and then another artist will come in and do digital art on top of that mural to bring these murals to life. And it's free. It's in the evening time, and they do this every other year. So if you have some time, check out Blink Cincinnati and watch some of those
Okay.
videos. We are very global. We have 10 Fortune 500 companies in the city of Cincinnati. So we just don't have one type of personhood or culture in the city. We have families literally from all over the world because they're brought here from that. With Xavier, we are just a little mini version of the city of Cincinnati. We
Okay.
are a private Catholic Jesuit institution. So I like to call the Jesuit faith of Catholicism the hippies of Catholicism. And really, it is, we want you to come as you are, who you are, how you believe, what you believe. You
Mm,
don't necessarily have to be Catholic or even Christian to be a part of the Xavier community. Now, that is our foundation. Students do take like a history of Catholicism throughout their general education courses, but there is no big requirement to go to chapel
okay.
or to do anything like that. We do have 20 active religions on campus that are like today's Diwali. And so our
Mhm.
Indian Student Union and our Multicultural Center is throwing a Diwali party today.
Great.
And so that's just awesome that this institution built founded on faith is really celebrating that faith structure that is on campus. We have over 90 majors that our students can come into. And what I think really sets Xavier apart from other institutions is this core four of what we talk about. And this is four staff members that are dedicated to each student to help them get from the starting line to the finish line. And this
Okay.
starts out with a success coach. And, many of us have gone through the collegiate experience, and many of us may be first generation students. And I myself am a first gen student. And I just remember one of my friends saying, like, oh, let's go shopping for bed linens. And I said, well, I already have a twin bed. I don't need new stuff. And I didn't realize that beds in college are different sizes. And so this success coach starts right the moment that these students confirm their admission, and they meet with them at least once a month to help them transition for the first 2 years of their time here at the institution. And we're working with them in ways of, are you healthy? Are you eating? Are you making friends? Are you going to class? Everything that has to do with this well-being of the students. And we as admissions counselors, even throughout their essays and personal statements, may even flag them to be talked to by the success coach even
Okay.
before they confirm. Which is nice, is everyone's involved in this piece. And so they meet again with their students once a month for the first 2 years. Then we have your academic advisor. Every institution has an academic advisor, but we as educational professions, we know that usually academic advisors are only required to work with students their first year, and then after that they're like, okay, have fun. Here at Xavier, they have to meet with their students once a semester, all 4 years. And so we're making sure that these students are taking the appropriate classes, that they're able to graduate on time. And oftentimes our students are coming in as undecided. We call it
Mm.
exploratory studies. And usually we start off with, what don't you want to study? Sometimes students don't know what they want to study, but they know
Right.
what they want to study. If you would have said, Sarah, you're going to have to take a year of math and science, I would be like, college isn't for me. I'm going to sit home and color. That's really, I knew that about myself.
Right.
So it's really helpful to sometimes change the way that our students are thinking through just these simple questions that our advisors are asking. They have a program where, based on the comments that our faculty are putting into the student about each and every student, we rate them essentially from green, yellow, and red. And so our academic advisors are really focusing on those yellow and red students to make sure that they're
Mm.
able to be successful. And they're monitoring it once a week. Anytime that a faculty member puts in comments or concerns, that academic advisor gets pinged, and we're pulling that student into these class or their
Mhm.
office right away. So it's not, after midterms and the
Right.
students fail, we're talking to them before that. Little Johnny hasn't come to class in 3 classes, so he's missed a week of classes. We're already talking to little Johnny about what's going on. Are you sick? Do you have COVID? Are you homesick?
Mhm.
Or did your alarm not go off? What's going on?
I love that because it's like a early alert system.
Yes.
So rather than waiting until students are failing or get to the point of no return, you're catching them early. I love that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the whole point. I mean, university isn't cheap for anyone, even if
Mhm.
we're on scholarship. So we don't want these students not to be successful. And
Right.
sometimes those conversations are, maybe Xavier isn't the institution for you. Let's talk about what is. If that
Mm.
means you have to take some time off, no one wants to have those conversations, but sometimes it's in the student's best interest. And that's really what this core four is doing, is putting the student first.
Okay.
And then we have your career advisor. So your career advisor, again, is going to meet with the students once a semester at minimum, but the student obviously has more opportunity to talk with them should they want to. Again, going back to my experience, I was applying to grad school and I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to write a cover letter. Like, they're just a bear. And even as
Right.
adults, it's hard. So as these career advisors, we're working with them in their first year to make sure that these resumes and cover letters are already established. So as they advance to on-campus employment, internships, co-ops, um, clinicals, that it's already there. And so then they're already working and adding and layering in and really just vamping up that basics that they had built
Right.
their first semester of their freshman year. In addition to that, they're sending out weekly emails. And so they'll be like, Dr. B, we know that you want to go into education. Here is
Mhm.
this on campus opportunity. Did you know that the Cincinnati Youth Collaborative is hiring interns? And we think that you would be really good
Okay.
at doing this. All of these things that are specifically detailed to each student. It's not just, hey, food services is hiring.
Right.
We get those emails, but we also get those detailed emails that are
Hmm.
really tailored to your interests and your career goals.
That's great.
Mhm. We also work with students who may not have the ability to appropriately dress for an interview. We know that
Mm.
as much as we don't want to be, we are judged with what we wear and how we present ourselves. So we partner with Macy's. Fun fact, it's actually headquartered in Cincinnati, Ohio. They claim New York City, but they are based in Cincinnati. So they
Okay.
don't. Yeah, they donate professional outfits for our men and women so they can
Okay.
go and utilize these things. So at least their external wear isn't the piece that keeps them from getting the job.
That is fantastic, Sarah. I did
Yes.
not know that. And I love
Yes.
Macy's. I love
Yes.
Macy's. I love that idea of partnering with an established retail store for students to be
Mhm.
able to dress professionally. That's fantastic.
Yes. And then university wide, Macy's will do like drastic discounts so that students can go and take advantage of that. If
Okay.
they do not qualify for the free outfits, they can go and purchase items for like 75% off. And they'll
Great.
even work with local tailors to make sure that they fit appropriately. It's a really cool opportunity. And even the faculty and staff take advantage of it. I know I myself have.
I would.
Yes. Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, this, nice blazer, 75% off." I
Right.
couldn't afford it at full price, but I can afford it now. Absolutely. Um,
Definitely.
and then last but not least is the financial aid advisor. And we know
Mm.
students actually work with financial aid through their first year. And unless they have a question and issue about their bill, they don't talk to their financial aid advisors moving forward. We, however, again, meet with these students once a semester to make sure that these students are financially sound. And so this is going to be, hey, Dr. B, educational opportunity for this scholarship. Did you know that Procter and Gamble, again another company that's headquartered in Cincinnati, is
Okay.
offering scholarships here in the city? It has to do with these things that you've marked as an area of interest. I think you would be a good opportunity to apply here. And then I personally, in my opinion, most importantly, those students who are in financial need, the one thing that
Hmm.
the pandemic has taught us is um, that nothing is secure, especially employment and financial
Right.
wealth. And so we had a lot of students who were just in need of additional financial support. And so your financial aid advisor make sure that you know of all of the funding
Yes.
that's available with the university grants to make up that gap, be it short term or long term. And the benefit with this is because you have a dedicated financial aid advisor, it's just not
Mm.
some random person you're meeting
Right.
with. They know who you are. So I'm not just working with a financial aid advisor, I'm working with Sarah, who I've worked with from my first year all the way to my last year. And should I stay for grad school, I keep that financial aid advisor. So it really comes down to that personability. Students are looking for more than just a degree nowadays. And so with Xavier, we have built this community that,
Yes.
again, it's student first.
Yeah, I love that. So, for folks that are just joining in, we have with us Sarah Shepherd from Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Sarah just told us about the Core Four, where students have all these folks who are looking out for them. So she talked about the success coach, they have an academic advisor, they have a career advisor, and they have a financial aid advisor. So it would be really difficult for students at Xavier to fall through the cracks. And with all of these four people working to help these students succeed, this early alert system, and with the partnership with Macy's, so students can have that dress for success. I mean, this is fabulous, Sarah. It always makes
Mhm.
me want to go back to school just to take part
Doesn't it?
in some of this.
Yeah. And then I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the students who are military affiliated as well. This program blew me out of the water. And I was telling my parents how I was straddling both admissions and veterans and military family services, and telling my dad, like, oh, I know that the GI Bill covers up to a certain amount. I didn't realize that students then may not have had an opportunity to fund the rest of their education should they want to
Mm.
go out of state or attend a private university. And this is what Xavier does. They are a yellow ribbon institution. And so we partner with the Yellow Ribbon Project to fund the remaining cost of tuition and housing to ensure that the student has full need met. And he goes, "Oh wow, that's crazy." And he's like telling all of his friends now as if they have college age students. And I'm like, yeah, all of us are grown now, but he's funding for free of charge. And the cool thing about this is we do not limit the amount of dollars that we support students, nor do we limit the amount of students that we bring in.
That's fantastic, because I know at quite a few colleges there are limits on both of those. So knowing
Yes.
that ahead of time is definitely great information.
Yes. And so we just call it MARS for short. So it's military affiliated recruiters. There are three of us.
Okay.
Myself, I serve all of the students on the Southeast area. And then we have one who is in Texas, and we have one who is in Colorado. And basically, if we were told when we first started, if you brought in 100 students, we are
Hmm.
going to fund and support 100 students. If you bring in 300 students, we are going to fund and
Okay.
support 300 students. And, when we think, oh, it's great to bring in these numbers, they have promised for the amount of students that we bring in, we are going to bring in enough advisors and staff that are specialized within vet support and their family support to ensure that these students are getting what they need. If students still have active duty family members,
Hmm.
getting that counseling to just talk about they don't know where their family member
Hmm.
is and they haven't heard from them in a while. Just something as, I don't want to say simple because it's mental health is so huge, but having
Right.
that dedicated person who knows what they've been through and what they're
Mm.
going through is huge. And it's specifically dedicated within that Veterans and Family Services department. They have their own lounge. There are
Okay.
snacks. We're talking like good snacks. Um, and so that these students really make it their home away from home while still being connected to those who know exactly what they're going through.
That's fantastic, because living here in Fayetteville with Fort Bragg, I've learned well, not 100%, because I'm not military, but understanding and learning more about the needs of military students, of dependents, of, active duty soldiers and what have you. So even though we have a great military program at Fayetteville State University, for people who want to be in another state or are looking for another school, it's so important that they know that this resource is out there, and that what you offer them and the amount
Mhm,
of support and care that's offered to military families. I don't think sometimes people realize um, all the challenges that are out there for military families. So having this piece where they know that they will have someone that's looking after either them or their dependent as they're working on their post-secondary degree is fabulous. It's
mhm.
fabulous.
Yes. And just some more accolades that Xavier has with our military affiliated. So we are ranked number 2 in terms of our military affiliation and support for our veterans. We're recognized as a veterans friendly school for the past 10 years. Uh,
Great.
yes, yes. And in terms of the team in just the military and family services, we, I think now with all of even our regional team, we have almost all of the branches covered. So our director is an airman, the director of recruitment is a retired um, Marine. We have someone who's a retired Navyman. One of our recruiters is married to someone who's active duty in the Space Force. So they're the ones that are located out in Colorado.
Okay.
We Yes, yes. And we also have a nationally ranked ROTC program, and we share a Navy ROTC and Air Force ROTC with the surrounding universities. So we have Army based out of our campus, and then out of the 3 institutions, we share the collective 3.
Okay. So
Mhm.
anybody out there, if you have any questions or comments for Sarah, please make sure you throw them in the chat because we definitely want people to have this information and we want them coming away with knowledge about this. If you're watching this on the replay, you can always put information in the chat. We'll definitely make sure you have Sarah's contact information so that if you need to contact her later after this, you can do so because this is so important and it's just so helpful for people to have this information. Yes.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit more. So I know one of the things that Xavier does have is as they do have the opportunity for students. So talk a little bit about internship opportunities. You were talking about the different companies that are headquartered in your area. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we have 3 different types of professional development or experiential learning that our students can take advantage of depending on the major. So the first one and most prominent are going to be your internships, and students can choose to do these either for credit or for to be paid for.
Okay.
Um, those are going to be the most common based off of the majority of the majors that we offer are going to be humanities and social science based. Then we also have cooperative education.
Mm,
And for students, I like just to call them mandatory internships, and it kind of the light bulb then comes on. And so with this, some of our programs are going to be 5 years long because 3 years in the middle are every other semester working full time and then going to school full time.
right.
And I know that the students still are like, oh man, really? That's cool. But that, I kind of wanted to do this in 4 years. And then I
Mm,
tell them on average, these students earn about $10,000 per rotation for
that's
about
nice.
$40,000 to $50,000 in their pocket. Then their ears perk up. They're like, what? And yes, you're
Yes.
actually being paid like a professional. And through this co-op program, it's a 98% job placement rate.
Mhm.
And when I tell, especially the families, it is these companies have invested 6 months of their time into this
Mhm.
student, teaching them everything that they need to know. They would be remiss not to offer them a time job at the end of their time because I can skip most of the onboarding process because we've already done
Exactly.
it.
Right.
And so that's nice that these students already have at least 3 companies that they've worked with.
That is
And
fantastic. And helping students understand um, how important or how it will help them career-wise when they have the opportunity to have a co-op job or opportunity. I know students sometimes don't understand what co-op is, but I definitely encourage all of you to go on Xavier's website and look up their co-op program and read more about it so you understand how it works. It's
Mhm.
amazing when you look at the numbers and students who, as Sarah mentioned, who are hired because of the co-op they did. So you're not doing that job hunting after you graduate from college. You have that. That's one less anxiety that you have to worry about because you know you have a job to go to.
Yeah, there was one particular student that she had her job offer in October of her senior year. She's so now, and she still had another semester to go, but she was, oh yeah, I already have a job offer, the paper's already signed, I already have a start date.
That's fantastic.
Yes, oh my God, I was sweating bullets when I was walking across that street in May, and here you are, like, making double what I'm making, and
Mm,
there moving expenses and living costs, and and that's also a necessary skill that sometimes isn't taught is negotiating that baseline salary. So often, they offer you a salary rate and you're, yes, you offered me a job, I will take it. But going through these internships and co-ops, you learn those soft skills
right.
that helps you earn a little bit more money. Maybe it's more
Hmm.
time off. Maybe it's a hybrid work schedule. You're comfortable making those requests and advocating for yourself so that you
Yeah.
do find the right fit in an
Yeah.
employment.
That is so, so important. That is crucial. And I tell students, that's not something you want to wait to talk about when you on the verge of graduating. That's why I am so thrilled that you have that career advisor as one of the core four. I'm all about that career awareness and development and exploration. This year I'm the president-elect of the North Carolina Career Development Association. So I get to work with some of the most fabulous career advisors at our local colleges and
Mm,
universities. So knowing what it is that they do, it's even more important now that I'm doing a lot of work with them. But I've always thought that was such a crucial piece that sometimes students miss because they're thinking, oh, career services, I don't need that until I'm getting ready to graduate. But having that career advisor right at the beginning, then having the opportunity to do it, a co-op, oh my goodness, it's like wonderful. That's so great.
mhm. And they have this network, and it even goes through for students wanting to go on to graduate school is I can go on and see, okay, I want to go into ophthalmology. And so I type in ophthalmology and I can see all of the Xavier alums that are currently
Wonderful.
in med school, that are working as ophthalmologists at a hospital, all of these things. And so they can say, reach me on Facebook, Instagram, here's my email, give me a call,
Okay.
we'll set up a Zoom. And so that way they can start networking
Mm,
early on, and set up those, letters of recommendation and references and really get an idea of what's expected of them in
yes.
years to come. And I thought that was really cool. And I'm kind of jealous of these students going to school now because we definitely did not have that between 2006 and 2010.
I know that is so amazing. I mean, I think back to, the Stone Ages when I went to college and all the services that we now have. And, every time I'm on a college campus, I'm like, oh, I want to go back to school. So I'm looking for a plan where I can go to college. I can go to this campus for one semester, this campus for another semester, just to experience everything because
Mhm.
it's so amazing to me to see how colleges have evolved over the years, and I always tell my students the main thing is it is up to you to take advantage of all the services. The colleges can have them, they can advertise them. um, you folks have this core four where you have all of these advisors and coaches in place, but if students don't take advantage of it and use it to the fullest, well, it's that thing, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So
Mhm.
I love that you have that in place. So students have to work at not doing well. They have to work at it.
They really do, and that was the whole premise of we're not we're not going to give you the opportunity to fall through the cracks.
Mm.
And if you want to, you're going to have to work really hard at it because we will hunt you down. I really equate it to, if anyone's ever watched the first season of Last Chance U on Netflix, and they have that academic advisor, and you see her walking down the hallways, making sure that these players are in class and having something as simple as a pencil. And
Yes.
that's what I really see Xavier doing, are this core four walking together, kind of like the Sanderson sisters in Hocus Pocus, like and making sure that their students have a pencil so that they
Right.
can do their things. And all of the large public universities I've been to, while great in their own ways, that you can't replicate that at a
That is
large
so
public
true.
university. And I've just been wowed over and over again with the dedication that Xavier has for their students. And I did want to mention, last but not least, is our clinical program for our medical based students. So we do have a direct admit nursing program, and we have also direct admit the therapies. So physical therapy, occupational therapy, and
Okay.
training. And so first and foremost, especially if students are wanting to get into pediatrics, the Cincinnati Children's Hospital has been ranked #2 for 5 years in a row as the best national pediatrics hospital. And that is a mile down the road. And then we have hospitals that specialize in obstetrics and veterinary, or excuse me, we have Vets Hospital. We have hospitals that, oh, you need something with heart cardiology, you go to this hospital. If you need geriatrics, you go to this hospital. And so they really
Okay.
get the depth and breadth of that experience just within the city of Cincinnati. But
Cincinnati.
yes. And if you're like, well, I really want some rural training, great. We can place you in a rural area that will get you that experience as well. You want to have a trauma one level center, we have those. If you're wanting to do something more in like family practice, obviously we're in a setting, so you can throw a stone and hit a family practice. And you start doing all of this clinical and shadow experience in year one because we are direct
Wow.
admit.
Okay.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so important because I know people a lot of times are looking for these programs that are direct admit. And for folks that are out there listening or watching this on the replay, what that means is that when a student applies to Xavier, they will be able to indicate on their application that they want to major in nursing. So they will start right at their first year. In other places, it's what we call a two-tier system. So the students will apply to the college, and then they will, in their sophomore year, usually, they will
Mhm.
have to then apply to be in the nursing program. So they'll start like in pre-nursing, and then the end of their sophomore year, spring of their sophomore year, they're applying to be into the nursing program. So again, the direct MIT is it's pretty neat, but I would assume, Sarah, it's also pretty competitive.
It is. And it's one of our few majors that has a firm December 1 deadline of
Okay.
the student's senior year. Everything else is rolling admissions for Xavier, which is
Okay.
amazing for students. I know oftentimes they feel that pressure between November 1st and December 1st, with most
Mm,
institutions having those deadlines for early action and early decision. We are a rolling university, so you can apply when you're ready. And so, yes, it is competitive, but we're holistic in that sense for all of
okay.
our majors, even for our direct admit. So we don't require ACT or SAT scores, but we're going to look at, and I review the application. So for nursing in specific, there's an essay of, what made you know, and
Mm,
oftentimes it is, for example, I have a girlfriend who's in Cincinnati, and she took a tumble and she broke both of her ankles.
Oh,
And so, if she were a student, she'd probably talk about that experience on how she was highly dependent on medical staff for her to learn how to walk again, how to, run, um, having to use different modes of transportation because she's now wheelchair bound. And so those are the types of experience we're looking for. But it can be something as simple as, I enjoy helping people in this medical sense and being that advocate.
okay.
It can be that maybe they were an STNA or a CNA, or maybe they volunteered at some place. We're going to look at their activities, the types of classes that they're taking, and really, I'm looking to advocate for the student on why. I think sometimes students think of admissions officers as the gatekeepers,
Yes.
and really, I kind of want to be like the person who always holds the door and just lets the
Okay.
stream of people come in. And that's really, especially at Xavier, what we want to be known for is, I just want to make sure that you would succeed at the institution. The worst thing I think we could do to a student at any university is say yes, surely to make numbers rather than making sure that they're a good fit for the institution and that we can serve them
Right.
appropriately for their goals.
That is so good. In thinking about that, um, when you talked about activities and you talked about CNA and what have you, is it is it important, or is it a deal breaker if they don't have those types of activities on their activities list? I mean, is because I always talk to my students. I said, what are you doing in the community or in school or wherever to show that interest? Like, all of your activities do not have to be geared toward that particular career interest, because you may not even know what it is that you want to do. But for someone who wants to go into a direct admit nursing program, how are you showing the college that this is something you're interested in? So how important would it be for them to have at least one or two activities depicting that career interest?
I would say if they have the access to do that, then it's
Mhm.
highly encouraged. I grew up in a rural town. So
Mm,
there, as a 16, 17, 18-year old, being a CNA is not, it wasn't an option.
okay.
However, I could potentially shadow a doctor or a veterinarian. If a hospital is nearby, maybe doing some shadow days there. And then also making sure you're taking the appropriate classes.
Yes.
So taking your chemistry and physics, your anatomy and physiology, if you offer it. My high school would offer it some years and offer it not years, and so I know it's very much a chess game sometimes to make sure that
Mm,
you have these classes to show your interest. And if you don't have access to any of those things, make sure you're reflecting it in your essay or your personal statement of that
okay.
why. And oftentimes students are like, well, I want to help people. And like, well, boo, I want to help people too, but you do not see me throwing on a pair of scrubs. So what is it about the medical field and being a nurse that
Mm,
makes you want to help people? Because you can help people in a number of ways. So
right.
what is it about this particular career that's drawing you to it?
Okay. Great advice. So, folks out there listening, you have young folks, or if young folks, if you're listening to this now or on the replay, please make sure you're paying attention and be able to demonstrate interest in that particular career in some kind of a way. So I love it that you talked about, if they
Mhm.
don't have access, because I know that's such a big issue. Folks not always having access to be able to, like you said, become a CNA, or even sometimes to shadow someone. Like if you're in a rural area and transportation just isn't part of
Mhm.
isn't within your means, then again, being able to express yourself is definitely important beyond I want to help someone. So I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. So, Sarah, you have been so thoughtful in your answers and giving us great information. Folks that watch these conversations know how much I love the idea of sharing books and how important it is for students to read. So, tell us a little bit about the book that you are recommending to folks.
Yeah, so I recommended Quiet, A Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain. You may not know it coming from what I do, but I am an introvert by nature. And so when my tank is empty, I will crawl into my hole and recharge. And, and I often think that introverted students sometimes get overlooked, especially when it
Mm,
comes to seeking out help. And so, as professionals, we need to make sure that those students who observe more than talk, or really try to listen to understand rather than listen to respond, we give them at least attempt to give them just as equal amount of time. Because through this book, we see that um, introverts tend to make excellent leaders and have
mm,
innovative ideas that can really change the world for the better. And because introverts can tend to be overshouted and overshined by our extroverts, um, we don't always get the attention or the recognition that we need. There was one part in this book where they were talking about, if you were on a deserted island, what items would you pack? And if they put the introverts with the extroverts, and they got most of it wrong, but when they put the introverts together, these introverts last survived for years because they were just listening to everyone's ideas and really asking questions to understand. And I found that to be so powerful, because sometimes we end up going with ideas or methodologies simply because it's not the best idea, but it's the loudest idea.
Loudest. Yes. Yes. I love that. I was so thrilled when I saw that was your recommendation because I remember, because for people who know me, they say, "Oh, you're not an introvert." I am. I'm just like Sarah. When I am filled up with um, just being around a crowd of folks, a constant conversation. I'm one of those that at a conference or somewhere, I'm going to crawl off to a quiet space. If it's not my room, I'm going to find another place. And I just need to decompress because I can only do so much constant talking. I get filled up by reading, by being in a quiet place. So
Mhm.
again, I was so thrilled. I'm like, yes, a woman
Yep.
after my own heart.
I always carry a book with me. And so the people who
Yeah.
know me the best, when I have that book up, they, oh, it's Sarah's quiet time. When
Mhm.
she puts her book down, that's when we can re-engage.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And the other reason I was so thrilled is because people know me. If I can't go in a bookstore and not buy a book, it's just my nature. So Susan Cain actually has a new book out, and it's called Bittersweet. And the subtitle is How Sorrow and Longing Make Us Whole. And I love this blurb by Adam Grant, who is a New York Times bestselling author of the book Think Again. And what he says is, this is the rare book that doesn't just open your eyes, it touches your heart and sings to your soul. Susan Cain gave a voice to introverts, and now she masterfully paints our heaviest emotions in a light that's long overdue. Bittersweet is the perfect cure for toxic positivity and a sparkling ode to the beauty of the human condition. So I said,
Mm,
oh, okay, that is fantastic. So I am looking forward to finally reading this because of the amount of research that she does and how much I loved Quiet, because Quiet, I said, "Oh, how did Susan know me? You know, it was like we hung
you
out
did.
together.
Yes.
It was so nice to see myself in a book.
Mhm.
That's great. Um, so what last words would you like to leave for students that might be interested in Xavier? What should they do?
There is my email below. Email me. We as a private university, also give, I don't want to call them points, but I give a nod to students who demonstrate interest. And that doesn't mean showing up to campus and coming on a campus tour. Travel is not cheap. Gas isn't cheap. Flights aren't cheap. So just as something as simple as emailing me, having a Zoom one-on-one, this is what I do. This is what makes my heart sing. So ask questions. I'm a real person. I'm a dog mom. So, you hit me up, email me, and I'll schedule some time. And it doesn't have to be in that 8 to 5 time frame. If after soccer practice and dinner works for you, then let's do that. Again, putting that student's best interest at heart, and again, keeping access in mind. Xavier doesn't have an application fee.
Okay.
And so really making sure that, again, we're keeping that student in mind. And last plug, if you're not a reader but you like audio books, you can find Susan Cain's Quiet on called Libby. It connect it to your library and it's free. I know some of you may be Audible readers, but I'm all about supporting your local library, and it'll be there. And it's free.
Oh, I love that you said about supporting your local library. I think sometimes they get tired of me talking about, do you have your library card? Why don't you have your library card? Your taxes are paying for your library. Use it.
Yes.
Use it, use it, use
Yes.
it.
Oh
Oh,
my, yeah.
this, Sarah,
Oh, I
this
was gonna
has
say this
been,
world can be run by librarians, I think.
yes, exactly. If librarians rule the world,
Yeah.
that probably would have been my occupation. If I had become an educator, I probably would have been a librarian, or I don't know if I'd want to be a bookstore owner, because I would be too busy wanting to read the books, not do all the business of owning the
Right.
bookstore. So let me just kind
Yeah.
of work. Let me just be the one that shelves the books. That would make me happy, as long as I could read to my heart's content.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
So again, Sarah, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy evening to introduce folks who didn't know about Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio, especially to our folks in the military community. So again, let me put this the URL for their site for their military resources. So you can go on to
Mhm.
this webpage and read about the different resources that Xavier University offers to our folks in the military. It's important to know that there are all kinds of resources out there for you in different states and in different places. So again, Sarah, thank you so much. This has
Thank
been so
you.
informative, and I really appreciate you coming here this evening.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And folks, I hope to see you next weekend. But in the meantime, for those of you who are may be looking for college services, um, you can always contact me. My Let me just move this a little bit. That is my email. Oops, that is my email down there. So you can always contact me if you're in the market for college and career services. And folks, thank you so much for being here this week. Um, I'm debating whether or not I'm going to be next week, because it is Halloween. And it's also the evening before the November 1st deadline. So I know I am going to have quite a few, not so much last minute, but maybe last minute essays to review. So I'll be thinking about it in the next couple of days, but I hope to be with you next Monday. So everyone, take care. Thank you for being here this evening. And again, if you have any questions that you would like to send to Sarah, please reach out to her. Again, here is her email. She encourages you to reach out to her, so please do so. Everybody, have a great evening. Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.